Well, hey, everybody, this is Don with the Vlog of Many Things, and with me is the Eight Enough Brady Bunch crowd.
Ba-dum-ba.
Steven!
Down below is Mr.
Tenka.
and
Currently
brushing
AWOL.
teeth, putting babies to bed.
Yeah, not
He'll be
putting
here in a
babies
minute.
down. He said putting the baby down, and I was like, ooh.
Putting the baby down.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
sometimes you just gotta take that final step.
Steel clubbing.
Thyatus, St. Cuthbert, gentlemen, how you doing this evening? Thank you for tuning into our video tonight. Tonight, just to kind of break this into real quick, Elk of Antioch, hello. We're going to talk a little bit about game and book publishing, kind of some of the ins and outs of it, and we're also going to talk about, we're going to do maybe some spontaneous reviews. Don't know about what yet, but this is the vlog of many things. We just pull stuff out of our butt and say, let's run with it. Quality
Hey.
programming.
I thought we were supposed to set it on fire.
We do that. That's just normal. normal. So, all right. So, real quick, any news this week? Kelsey of Shadow Dark fame did what? $1.2 million on her Kickstarter, day number one.
Yep.
Wow. Eric, what exactly is it? Is this this was a campaign?
It's the campaign
Expansion?
site.
Okay.
But here's the thing, and I'm sure a lot of people are backing for the. I guess they have the premium edition. Is Let me get my copy. So the premium, I know a lot of people are, the one, yeah. So that was sold out with, you could only really get that. I mean, maybe there were a few copies left after the Kickstarter. This has been sold out for a while. They're putting out the premium, but with slightly less thick paper, and now with 3 tassels. So a lot of people are back. It's making a lot of money because a lot of people are getting more copies or add copies of the physical. They've been running with PDFs, so there's a chance for people to get physical copies again of Shadow Dark.
Now, what's the only difference between the premium copy and the regular? Because they're both black and white interior.
They're both black and white interior. The paper quality, and apparently I didn't even realize this. This one, the original premium, took longer to break in because the paper was so thick, it didn't want to lay flat.
Yeah, it's like 120 pound. I mean, it's like 120 GSM. It's heavy stuff.
Yeah, so I actually have my standard copy is somewhere in this room. That is still in its original cellophane wrap. Believe it or not.
Wow.
But I know a lot of people have been looking to acquire the premium. I know people who had the premium and sold it because they were trying to, I guess, make a little money in the collector's market. Now are regretting it.
Oops.
Yeah, so there's a chance now, but she's doing a great thing too because her Cursed Scrolls zine. These are about 64 pages or so per issue. You can get them in limited hardcover editions in a slipcase on this Kickstarter. So people, myself,
smart,
are going, holy crap! Do I need
gobble?
Yeah, but and honestly, I know Kelsey. I've met her numerous times. She's good people. I don't say that just randomly.
I've heard a lot of good things. I've never met her, but pretty much everybody I've met who interact with her says she's really cool.
She is legit, and when you meet her, she is the person that you would expect.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, this is real.
It's nice to meet somebody that has a celebrity status that don't have their head up their ass because they got celebrity status.
Right.
You know what I mean? But Elk Antioch says, I'm expecting my World of Greyhawk printed blanket to arrive tonight. It's apparently out for delivery.
Yay.
Nice. Edward Kopp, how you doing, my friend? Gents.
Gentlemen.
Oh boy, already starting to humor in this frickin' video clog tonight.
You don't want to offend the gentleman by calling us gentlemen.
Eric has disappeared. Now he's back.
Sorry, I had to grab a tissue.
It's magic. All right, tonight we're going to talk a little bit about. We're going to get into publishing. We're going to talk about do some impromptu reviews. Anything else, real quick, besides Kelsey becoming a millionaire overnight? And let's see, anything else in news?
Oh,
Did she really become a millionaire?
No.
Well,
Yes.
okay. Real quick,
I'm happy
She-
for her. if she did.
let's just say let's say she caps at 1.3 million. She's probably got easily a 30 to 35% margin, profit margin. So she's making roughly about 300 to 500 grand, or 300 to 400 grand at this point off that Kickstarter.
Yeah,
Cha-ching.
I could see that.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
So
But other big Kickstarter isn't on Kickstarter. It's on BackerKit. It's Castle Zagyig.
yes, that's
Oh,
Luke Gygax's
Right
latest one.
now, here's the thing. This is the material that was originally published in the early aughts, and were withdrawn. I think at the end of 2008 when Gail Gygax said no.
I actually have a copy. It was gifted to me by Tim Kask.
Ooh, lucky
So
girl.
I have-
box set. Really nice box set.
I have Castle Zagyig, the city of Yugosburg. And I believe I have one part of the dungeons, but I don't have the box set. I know, like Joe the lawyer literally ordered it like the 31st of 2008. Called up their Chenaults and like, oh my god, didn't realize it was being pulled. This is the original stuff. Now, there's something. I saw something on the internet where it says, "Oh, Gary wrote this for Castles and Crusades." I talked with Jeff, and Gary wrote
Jeff Tlanian.
Gary wrote this for AD&D 1E because that's the language that he was conversant in, and then it was translated into Castles and Crusades because that's the system that the Trolls published in.
Yeah.
Gary, at the time, if Gary was writing other new material, the system he would have written it for would have been Legendary Adventures, which I'd
Yes.
love to see return. It's a system with some flaws. It could be done a little bit better. I'm sure if it comes back, it'll be flawless. So I'd like to see that return. I have the full-size books. I have the starter set. It's worth it to pick up to see where Gary was going in his mind, what he was looking for out of the game toward the end of his life. But if you already have the originals, you don't need to jump into this one.
Yeah.
But most people don't. And the originals go for hundreds of dollars. They are.
The Castle Zagyig box sets?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I actually had an older one also from years and years ago. I got off eBay. I put it on RPG Marketplace. This is like a year and a half ago after Tim gifted me his because it was his is like literally shrink wrap. I asked $600 for it. It sold like in a minute and a half. And I got a PM from Kim George, of all people, that said, "Did you know that you could have got a lot of more out of that?" And I was like, I just want to get rid of it because I got gifted a nicer copy, so
Right.
I'm happy. But yeah, I mean, just a used, and it was not in very good condition. It was $600. Like, I'm not joking. I literally posted it, got me coffee, and had a message from a guy saying, "I'll take it." So,
It's very good stuff, and this is the material that Jeff Talanian built his reputation on because he worked with Gary on this, and they were co-authors. It was Gary's ideas, but Jeff is the one that I guess brought it to life. So, and then the further work on this, I believe, which is going to be the second Kickstarter.
Yeah.
That's how it's working. Mike Stewart's going to be taking the lead on the new material.
but you know what bugs me about the new Castle Zagyig is the artwork that they're showing online about it. It is just
Bad?
my opinion.
Uh-huh.
It just doesn't give it justice, and it looks like it's AI.
Probably is AI.
It just doesn't give it justice. You know what I mean? To me, I mean, I respect Luke. Luke is brilliant guy. You know, gamer. He brilliant convention guy. He's really honoring his dad's name in like the really proper way. But just that artwork, man, it's like.
Wouldn't it be smart for them to recruit some of the few remaining artists to contribute to this project?
I would agree.
No, I mean, listen, look at the artwork that Kelsey is using with Shadow Dog.
Oh my God!
Okay, it is not necessarily reminiscent of any of the art back in the day, but it is so old school OSR in its nature, and it is black and white. Who the heck goes around doing black and white artwork in major RPG releases these days? You know, and that's, you know, I mean, I'm going to.
Well, Shadow Dark. That's just it. Shadow Dark is an ode, though, to OD&D, AD&D, the old stuff. So it makes sense to me,
right,
to do that.
And I would think that if you're doing something like Castle Zagic, that black and white sensibility, that was what Gary worked with. You know, all of his releases were color covers, black and white interiors.
It would be an ode to the AD&D books.
Right. It didn't start going to color plates until AD&D 2E.
Real quick, G2 says Shadow Dark isn't old school. I didn't say it was old school. What I meant by it was it's kind of like it's like an ode to it. It's got a feel of that old school vibe kind of thing.
Here, G2, let me just explain. And by the way, don't be offended when I tell you go fuck yourself. You don't define what old school is.
I take it. Who is G2? I take it there's a little history here. I'm not aware.
No, I have no idea. But I hate that people. It is an old school. All right.
Welcome to the vlog of many things. You're going to get it honest.
Listen, you step into it, you're going to hear about it.
I thought it was like for a minute.
Shadow Dark is when you look at Labyrinth Lord, when you look at Sword and Wizardry and Osric, these are all old school RPGs, right? That are emulated, built off of the 3.0 SRD.
Yes.
Shadow Dark is saying, hey, I want an old school game, and I'm going to build it off of a 5e SRD.
Yes.
That's the only difference. So there's different assumptions built into it. But if you want to take a little bit further, all of these games are like saying, hey, I'm going to a classic car show. Look at my Model T. Well, that's not really a Model T. That's a kit, right? You just built it. Looks great, but your kit has a 1960s Mustang engine in it. Well, if you're building over 5e, you're saying, hey, my kit.
Are you claiming that my Volkswagen engine Ferrari's not?
We're not turning over that Model T with the hand crank.
They've got a newer engine in it, but the chassis, the look of it, the feel of it, and if you've never played it, you wouldn't probably know. I've actually played it, not just at conventions, but on my channel. It plays very old school.
I've heard that from a lot of people, though. That's the reason I made the comment, because from
old
a lot of people I've talked to, yeah, they say they get that real vibe off of it. But Thayeta says anachronism is a good word for it. I can agree with that.
I like it because it's just deadly 5e, whereas 5e is not deadly.
True.
No.
Oh, God, he's breaking out his crystal ball. What does Eric see? Eric, you're muted.
You're muted.
Eric, you're muted. Eric. Eric.
Sorry, I muted when Rach came over.
Sorry.
I don't know. Rach, I hate to say it, without it lighting up, it looks like a turd ball.
Oh, is that one of those glow-in-the-dark balls that does that? I have one my daughter got as a moon.
Is that what Mario Gomez mailed you?
Hold on a second. It's my left breast. I'll put it in here and make it proper.
So,
So-
back to Castle Zagyig. There's a Star Frontiers connection. Does anybody know what it is?
No.
Long before Castle Zagyig was an actual product, there was a Zagyig Nebula in the Star Frontier setting.
Was it spelled the same way though? Because it's actually Castle Zagyag is a play off of Gygax's last name
Spelled backwards.
backwards.
Yeah, they spelled his name backwards. They put a few other like people who worked at TSR made
Oh, so this is kind of like an Easter egg.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
an Easter egg in the setting. There's a few names in the Zebulon's Guide that are people who worked at TSR, and I spotted a couple of those. I went, oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait, I think I recognize a name there. You know, it'd be stuff like ROP Robotics. You know, it was names of corporations and subsidiaries. There's where they
All right.
worked them in.
So to kind of make things light a little bit, because we're kind of talking in general about a whole bunch of stuff. I got a question for my esteemed panel of guests here on the side, the people in chat, and my co guys,
Co-guys?
my co-grognards, my co-old farts on the thing here. Okay. You can have open license for one thing. What would you want to publish? I can already know what that one would do, but we're going to ask him anyways. Let me guess. Hold on. I'm going to make a guess here.
Top secret.
Top secret. Yeah. Right, Tom?
No.
No.
Okay. But
Who
seriously,
Cheers.
if we could do one game, what would anyone want to do? Steve, you're on the upper right. You're kind of like Mr. Brady of the Brady Bunch.
I don't know. I'd probably go old school with like D&D 1E or whatever.
Eric?
You see, my issue is anything that I'd want to write for has an open license, essentially. So it's a 1E. I could write for it as Osric.
No, I'm talking about it would be a re-release, a new game that's your license. You could do anything you want with it. So I guess technically writing.
You could take the name.
I wouldn't want the name of anything that's already been out there.
Ooh.
Why? Right? Listen, it all has its identity. Star Frontiers has its identity. If I'm going to put out a new product, it isn't the Star Frontiers of old. If I'm going to put out D&D, like by the way, anybody who thinks that D&D 5.5 is D&D, you're an insult to gaming. I'm being opinionated today. I had that kind of a
you
week.
are just a grumpy guy today.
Nap time.
Just because you can you own the trademark D&D does not mean that you own the soul of D&D.
Exactly.
I believe games like, and since Greg Gillespie's in here, I'm going to say Dragon Slayer is on my shelf to the right. I love Dragon Slayer. It's how I probably would have written an OSR game if I had that much rules with it. I wouldn't have put the Cyclops man in. But that's the point. I'm just saying. I love the way he did the classes. I love the way the fighting classes are done. Great. If he called it D&D, would have been fine if he had the trademark, but people will go and look at it and go, that's not really D&D. It feels a lot like D&D, but it's its own thing. It's Dragon Slayer, and that's what it should be. Shadow Dark takes 5e and makes it an approachable system that is very old school in nature. Would I call it D&D? No. But would I call it D&D if I was calling this Kleenex as opposed to a tissue? Yes. So I don't really care what things are called.
But see, with me, I'd do something really obscure. I would take the SSI game / Nintendo 64 game, Eye of the Beholder, and I would, in fact, take that and turn that into a super module. I wouldn't want a game system. I wouldn't want like AD&D. I just want my greedy little paws on that little block of goodness.
You're thinking more like setting, like
No,
Planescape or or
Well-
just a particular module.
No, I would take Eye of the Beholder, which is basically, for those of you who don't know, it was a computer game / Nintendo 64 game, and the premise was you were hired by the Lords of Waterdeep to go into the sewers of Waterdeep and rid of an Eye of the Beholder at the very bottom level.
And folks, just so you also know, this came after the initial Gold Box games, which a lot of us played like on my Commodore 64.
Yes.
But Eye of the Beholder was different. If you don't know Eye of the Beholder, think Ultima Underworld. Okay? It's a first-person perspective.
Mhm.
I believe it was one character,
No,
maybe even more.
no, you could have 4 characters.
Okay. It's been a while since it's been decades since I played it. But your perspective, even with the poor graphics from back then, was first person. And it was very immersive because of that. And to replicate that, I think it would actually play out pretty well if somebody did Dungeon
And just
Terrain.
to be honest with you, for open disclosure, we actually were in negotiations and had a written contract to turn that IP into a board game, bona fide, until, I'm not going to mention his name, but until someone had to be a dick and go and start whipping his little 1-incher out and ticking people off, and they decide to yank all IP back. Literally, contract in
No idea
hand.
who you'd be talking about.
We're talking contract in hand, in my greasy little paws. We were just kind of going back and forth over some bits and pieces about royalties and payments and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, you know about this, Eric. And yeah,
I remember. I was brainstorming some ideas for it at the time.
And the thing is they decided, like, nope. So that would be my little thing I'd like to get back into, is just a giant mega module. So now doing something different called Lair, which is a mega module. But
so based off of what you've said about what you would do, I would actually, one thing I would consider doing would be taking Keep on the Borderlands
good one,
and expanding it with all of the little nuggets that I've added to it over the years.
Classic.
With the little peasant village down at the little fork in the road, some lost ravine with a river running through it, so an old dwarf stronghold, and so nobody knows where that is, so that's like a quest, and you find it. It's like going through Ausable Chasm. If anybody's been in upstate New York and seen Ausable Chasm, Ausable Chasm's my inspiration for that. And just all these different little things that I've added to Keep on the Borderlands, and do it as a big mega module, as you said.
Yep. So,
here's one for you though, and it just happened to spawn in my brain as you guys were talking about this. You, Don, had talked at one time about doing a spin-off of my idea about Cat Quest, where it's D&D, but it's done with cats and stuff like that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would be kind of a fun one to do.
Yeah, all feline based.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tim Kask actually has a module, All's Not Well in Boscadell. And it's basically, what was the name of that? It's basically an island where you go ahead and all your adventures turn into mice.
Okay.
Like Redwall.
Oh,
now,
good.
There's
book.
a nice collection of miniatures of, like, they're all dogs and they're all outfitted in equipment, but they're not like standing up anthropomorphic humans. They look like the real dog species, but they've got all their equipment on them. It's like they're going into the dungeon and they got all these, like potions strapped to their armor and stuff. And so I imagine there's got to be some cat miniatures out there.
Oh, I'm sure there is
as well.
But
oh yeah, I mean, if we did like a cat RPG, like Cat Quest, that one would definitely be one I'd play.
Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. Go ahead, guys. Steve, we are ready. Hold on a minute. Where's that damn thing at?
Wow.
Grimalkin. That's Grimalkin.
What?
Steve, Grimalkin. That's the RPG Grimalkin that we began working on.
Oh, okay.
That's the one that I got accused using AI for the cover. Oh, you gotta use AI for the cover. I'm not using flipping AI for the cover. Yeah, it is. I'm an expert in it. Yeah, learn to draw. Then you can be an expert in it. Guy online.
I don't like your art, so I'm going to call you a thief. Ha ha ha. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. But at any rate,
You just have idiots out there who think they know everything.
yeah. All right. Speaking of idiots, I'll go first. Publishing. We were going to talk a bit about publishing tonight. About game publishing, the right way, the wrong way, and such. And Tom, you actually, we talked about doing this last week because Steve wanted to get into publishing, but you got on a YouTube post earlier today. You sent a link to me and Eric behind closed doors on it. That was kind of interesting. You know, there for people who are thinking about publishing games and books, you know, I always get in trouble when I start making positive comments online, but I make comments like there's a right way of doing it, and then people are going, well, how do you know what the right way is? Because the right way can be different things, different people. And my argument is no, it's not.
Let me set up context for people watching. There was a Vlog of Many Things video that we did, and you had talked about producing the Winnie the Pooh game that you and your wife are doing.
Yep.
And the commenter was like, sorry, it's a negative comment, sorry, Don. The market for kids, the kids aren't into it, blah, blah, blah. And so I actually responded to them. This is, look, I appreciate you playing devil's advocate. Yeah. And I give you some points on that advocacy. But what Don's, the fact that you have all the machines, you produce stuff in-house, you're producing this in-house. So you're not printing thousands upon thousands of games that you can supply all the stores. You've got a very limited distribution. And if you sell a lot, you'll print more. And if you don't sell a lot, you won't. So you don't have a huge investment. And on top of that, you and I have had discussions concerning retail ready. You talked about a certain person who just recently, who nixed a contract that you had in hand. Having products that were not retail ready. And I asked you what that meant. And it was that, you didn't have a proper ISBN. You can't get it into a brick and mortar store. Store owners, even if he could get it into a brick and mortar store, they're going to look at the poor editing and go, excuse me? We're not going to sell non-professional stuff edited by a 12-year-old. And even if they did or didn't use Grammarly. And so there's a lot of things that go into designing a cover so that it'll sell and not look half-baked and not professional. There's a lot of things that go into prepping a product to make it retail ready. And you educated me on this. I just was not aware of this, but so that was, and I put that in the comment on my YouTube video that, where I got this negative comment. And go ahead and take it from there.
No, I mean that's the whole point. There is the key point of retail ready, and it's not an insult. And Steve's known me for almost 20 years, and Steve was intimately involved in my other publishing company from day number one. And one of the biggest things I always tell people about publishing is, you're always your biggest enemy. You're your own biggest enemy because everybody says, well, my friends read my book or my game and they like it. Or, my buddy read it and he knows everything about RPGs and he says it's really good. And I always tell people the absolute worst people in the world you can get to give you their opinion is your mom, your friend, your brother. You need to be out there like with players. That's why we play test in game shops, because part of that retail ready aspect is you have to get real world on the ground opinions of it. But also, even after all that's done, you still have to have it edited, a proper cover, layout. But then most importantly, don't go online. Like people go, I got an ISBN. Where'd you get it at? I went to isbns.com. Well, that's not an IS. I mean, it's an ISBN, but it's not properly registered because there's so much work. People just don't understand what goes into publishing a book, really, or a game. It's crazy.
And this day and age where AI will do the editing for you, AI do a layout for you, AI do the artwork for you. And people are able to go to Amazon and, oh, my book's on Amazon. Well, even if your book is on Amazon, you'll never get that book into a brick and mortar store. You'll never get it into a proper distribution chain.
Especially if you're using an Amazon ISBN.
Right. Because once you use that Amazon ISBN, you can't take it outside of Amazon.
No, you can't. Because
there's a limited circumstance where you have your own personal website and you can offer the book on your own personal website, but you can't get it in. You can't go to your local game store and say, hey, I got this RPG. Would you consider selling it? You get caught doing that, Amazon's going to come down on you.
Well, not only that, but what Amazon will do is they'll lock your account. Is what they'll do. But
you're done.
Yeah. And see what people don't
understand. All that work to get it published, and now you're locked.
Yep. St. Cuthbert says, can you comment on slabbing? Yes. Give me 1 minute. We'll get into slabbing. That's another thing. But
what is slabbing?
Give me 1 quick second, and we will talk about that. One key thing to understand about an ISBN also is that there's two kinds. And this is where people don't understand. There's what they call a 9,000 series ISBN. Okay? Mm-hmm. Like, as an example, you'll usually see ISBNs start off with 978-1-whatever. And the following corresponding remaining of the 13 digits, those will be things like, as an example, it identifies where the publisher, what country the publisher is located at, who the publisher is. It's like an EC code. You have your own code, and, like ours, like Wizard Tower Games is 9178. That's our ISBN code. So, when you see a 9,000, though, the difference is you ever see an ISBN number and it's got that big barcode, right?
Right.
But next to it, there's a small barcode. That smaller barcode is called an EAN. And what that EAN is, that's the price. And when you get a 9,000 series barcode ISBN, that EAN is either absent or it's 0000. So what happens is when they run it, is what they do is they run that ISBN, the computer picks it up and registers as $0. That's why Barnes and Noble will not, they just won't do let me see if I can pull it up here real quick. I'll show you guys an image here real quick.
Like that one?
Hold on a second. Yeah, that little tiny one. Usually, let me guess, it starts off with 5-1 or something. But like that one right there, if you read the 0, that's all. Look at that. What's the numbers there, Tom? Say.
All right. So the ISBN, it's 9781734196153. But it's a 9,000.
Yep.
This other little barcode says 9,000. This is an Amazon ISBN.
Yeah.
It links back to Amazon, not to the publisher.
Yes. Let's see if I can pull up an ISBN here.
Here's another example.
ISBN. What's that?
Here's another example.
Yeah, because what they do is, what's that, Eric?
Are you going to slab those? Come on.
Let me pull up an ISBN here, like as an example. Let's take a look here. Yeah, I'm looking at right now those pesky orcs. It's a 9,000 ISBN.
Yeah.
So is Dave Johnson Publishing uses 9,000 series ISBNs. I'm trying to read the stats. The stats here say on Amazon, among self-published authors, over 85% of self-published authors on Amazon use an Amazon ISBN. Why?
Easy.
It's free.
Free.
And once they
Right.
got your book with that ISBN, it's attached to them as the publisher. That's why they can say we're the world's largest book publisher. So, you know, but the thing is, you know, let me get out of this real quick. But the thing is the ISBN is really, when you look at a book and a UPC code when it comes to a game, or an ISBN for a game, is probably one of the most critical things for publishing, because everything is attached to your ISBN. I mean, literally the publisher, how many pages it is, everything from, the cup, you got to load a image for the cover. I mean, everything is attached to the ISBN.
But so many people don't know these details, and it's all kind of Greek to them, and so they just, oh well, I just get an ISBN from Amazon,
Sure.
and
Well,
Bob's your uncle.
Well, plus, especially when they do research and they say, holy cow, I can go to Boca and get an ISBN. They want $75 for an ISBN. I ain't doing that. Well, that's like saying,
I'm not paying 10 or 20,000 for a brand new car. Well, if you want one.
well, I mean, it's the equivalent of, and I know this is a really bad analogy, but it's like going to an oil change shop and them saying oil change $65, but if we use corn oil, we can do it for 10.
Kiss that engine goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, you're kissing the engine of your book goodbye, or your product.
Yeah.
And that's another thing is I know people that, like, as an example, they'll buy an ISBN and they'll put it on a board game. And it's like, you don't put ISBNs on products like that. Those get UPC codes. And see, that's the whole thing about publishing, and that's the reason why we're getting so heavily into it now, is because, a key part of a publisher is the education of of the author or the creator. Eric, what's wrong?
I just got a PM from Greg. I'm just laughing.
The thing is what you as a publisher, your job also is to educate the author or the creator, and to
No, hold on.
Yeah. Well, we got a quick second here. One thing I do want to do is kind of air out a little grievance I have, and this is kind of, not like specific to me, but just in general, is people are, I hear all these people out there saying, oh, you got to get on Amazon. Amazon's the best. Amazon's the biggest. You're going to sell books like left and right.
Amazon sucks.
Bull. Yeah, I have sold almost nothing on Amazon.
Go on, Steve. This man knows what he's talking about.
Yes, I have in the last 6 months, and this is through Drafted Digital, and to some degree, even when Don was in there trying to help me with Amazon, I was selling nothing. I've sold like one book in 6 months on Amazon with Drafted Digital. I sold like one or two books when I had it with Don. And I mean, I got my royalty thing here. Let me go look up the exact amounts. But I mean, I'm selling like gangbusters from Barnes and Noble. I'm selling
Noble.
Barnes and Noble. I'm selling really, really good. Let's see, my last one for Barnes and Noble. Well, okay, that was a low month, but it was $356. I've had $9, $10, $12 on that one per month, which for me is a good number. Amazon,
but this is the thing with the whole thing with Amazon. What people don't realize is that, first of all, Amazon's algorithm does not give a shit about the self-published author.
They suppress you almost.
Yeah, Amazon cares about. I mean, you're dealing with, it's like you can take any random book and you're like, oh wow, I'm in their rankings. I'm book number 784,326.
That sounds like you're part of the board.
No, in that genre, you are. You know what I mean? So
I'd like
good,
to on the Gunther the Mad here. He says, interesting how, for a great example of unprofessional idea, you immediately go to that company. Talk about low-hanging fruit. Well, because these are the only Amazon RPG products I have in my collection, and they're on the top shelf, away from everything else of quality. And I knew where I could grab them immediately.
And the thing is there's another thing that's important about Amazon you have to understand, and Tom touched it earlier, Gunther the Mad, is that, as an example, if you go to Amazon.com and you put a book product period up there, okay, like let's just say an RPG, If Tom develops an RPG and Tom puts an RPG on Amazon and he uses his own ISBN, he can sell it anywhere he wants to. But if he goes with an Amazon ISBN, you got to read the fine print.
Oh, yeah.
And the fine print says basically you can sell it on Amazon and you can sell it on your own personal website. That's it. If they
Mhm.
catch you selling it at a trade show, they can lock
Exclusivity. Yep.
your account. I mean, literally, you can sell it on your personal site. And in fact, if you sell it on your personal website, you are limited in a 6-month period not to exceed your sales on Amazon. So if you sell one book in a
I didn't know
6-month
that.
period, yep. And see, this is the thing about Amazon and what they do is they play. That's why they give these ISBNs away for free. And the other problem is these Amazon ISBNs, they're not real ISBNs. They're made up arbitrary numbers because those ISBN numbers are nowhere else in the system. Like you can't go to Barnes and Noble and have them pull up Tom's book. Not that Tom has a book in it there. I'm just saying as an example.
Right.
What you want to do is you want to make sure that, if you don't know the information, reach out to somebody or go to a publisher and say, hey, I need some advice. Because, I harp on the ISBN, and Steve knows this, is because it's such a critical part of your book, it's who it is. It's the identity. It's your social security number for your book.
Mhm.
And
Oh.
this is part of the service you're going to be offering through Wizard Tower Publishing is helping people. Hey, you need help getting published? We can print it. We can help you get an ISBN. So this is what is coming down the lane with Wizard Tower Publishing, and I'm kind of excited about it. And I've got a few Star Frontiers with the serial numbers rubbed off ideas for going. Hey, let's publish this.
Well,
100 system compatible with.
Yeah. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to be offering. I mean, the thing is, we're going to be offering things like, as far as legal aspects, we'll get you an ISBN pulled. We'll get you a UPC if you need it. If you need a copyright file, we can do it. And we'll also be able to file trademarks for you. Edward Kopp says the issue is that people don't want to do the real hard work to build a successful business. Most folks are looking for every shortcut and budget skimp they can find.
Yeah, because
Okay.
they're not
Definitely.
they're not committed to it. They're just in it for the money, and that's a big rant with mine. It's like, don't do it for the money, do it because you love it. But they're like, no, I want to be famous, I want to be this and that and stuff.
Well, some people it's vanity. They just want to.
Exactly,
They want a book on the shelf.
exactly.
And-
They can point. Look, my book.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, keep in mind is, and we ran into this with me and Steve ran this with Two Moon a lot is, you get people and they just don't understand that writing a book is very difficult. It is. It's extremely difficult if writing a book, but even more so is when you publish that book. The other thing I tell people to watch out for is are you able to take criticism? Are you okay with somebody coming in and doing a 1-star review on your book and saying that the book is total trash? Ooh,
Yeah, I've had that, and I'm like, okay, why is it? I turn around and throw it back at them and say, okay, you say it's trash. Why? Tell me. Some of them, you quickly find out it's just jealousy, but even then, you still have to have a thick skin because there's people that are just going to absolutely light you on fire just because they're jealous, and you got to be able to absorb that.
I bought a book that internet friend, published. So I went and bought it off Amazon. Told him I'd read it and review it in the Star Frontiersman magazine, and I couldn't get through 3 chapters. It was just horrible. And so I gave him feedback. I tried to give him constructive feedback because there were rape scenes. There were there was like in there, and I was like, dude, I can't review this in the magazine. I just can't review this.
But that's the whole thing.
And,
But you also,
and he ended our friendship.
because of what? You're trying to give them constructive feedback and you're being realistic with them.
Yeah.
It's like Steve. Good example is a guy sitting right next to me. Steve writes very good sci-fi. If you're going to read Steve's sci-fi, and I'll say this to his face because I say it, I'll say right in front of him, Steve is a very technical sci-fi writer, very Star Trek-y. That real detailed, good stuff. Well, one of his races is a lizard-like race. And he had a reviewer one time knock him because in the book, the character purses his lips. This guy goes in and says lizards don't purse his lips and gave a 1-star review because of it. Literally. Is it petty? Yes, but that's what you run into as an author.
Earth
Yes.
lizards don't purse their lips, but I've seen lizards from Waco 26 in the alphanumeric star system.
But that's just it. You have to have a thick skin, and you have to be willing to take the good and the bad. But that some of that bad may come from your publisher, as an example, because as a publisher, your job is also to say to that guy, hey, you have scenes of SA in your book. Now, you say that this book is designed for kids 12 and older. That's not appropriate content. You have to guide.
Yeah.
Edward says, feel free to work as a chef for a profession. Everyone thinks just because they know how to get the food into their mouth means they're a qualified critic. Okay, Edward, I know how to cook bean and bacon soup, so don't you be lecturing me on how to run a restaurant.
I used to be a certified chef, so I can relate to that kind of criticism.
I'm a certified eater.
And certified something.
Also,
yes.
we got off on a little tangent, but I wanted to go back to not directly Amazon, but the distribution and stuff. Because one of the things I'm finding in working with the distribution I have through Drafted Digital is that there's some surprising locations that actually do really good. Because like I said, I did really good on Barnes and Noble and Apple Books, which you kind of expect because they're big names. One of them you don't hear of much because it's overseas is Tolino. I am pulling more sales off Tolino than I am Barnes and Noble and Apple combined.
Wow.
Okay, me and Steve's going to have a little clash here. The problem with Tolino is it is one of the number one ranked sites to have pirated material on and such.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's one of those out of the ordinary places. That's my primary thinking here. It's just out of the ordinary. So don't just assume that you have to have all the big names. You can have the little names, and those do really, really well.
And there's another thing is and this is something I always suggest to people is do not be afraid when your book is published and ready to go, is sling it anywhere and everywhere that you can. Friends, anyone that is willing to get a book, and don't give your books away for free. I have people all the time that would go, well, can you give me a free book? Listen, I'm an author. It took me literally 8 years to write my one murder mystery, Soccer Mom. Seriously, it took me 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Spend $15 and buy my book. I'm not going to give it to you. And that's another thing. Don't give away your product. Sell it. Sell it to people. Unless they're willing to do a service in return, you may have someone, and I'm not talking about anybody here, but I'm just talking about in general, like a lot of vloggers will say, give me a book, I'll read it, and I'll give you a review. Well, if you've got thousands of followers, that's worth an investment on my behalf if you're willing to read it and give a review, because now I'm getting exposure.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But go ahead.
And you do know the dirty little secret of the drive-through RPG featured reviewer program,
Oh God,
right?
what? Is this going to make me mad? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So I was a featured reviewer for a while. And as a featured reviewer, a drive-through, you rate things on a scale of 1 through 5. Now, as a featured reviewer, you can review things on your own media, your own blog, YouTube channel. They really don't care. They don't look. But if you are a featured reviewer and you are doing a review of a product, you better not give it less than 3 stars. Or if you feel it's less than 3 stars, you don't review it. You reach out to the publisher. You give them your critique, your criticism. Say what you feel needs to be corrected, but and don't do a review.
Why? That's kind of like contrary to what your job is then.
Mm-hmm.
you're a featured reviewer. You are getting PDF copies come to you for review purposes. Once I became a quote publisher, I was no longer a featured reviewer. And as a featured reviewer, on any given day, there were 10, 15, 20 products I could have chosen from in my email to review. And the reality of it is that I would rather, as a blogger, as a vlogger, I would rather pay for a product and give it an honest review, or have the publisher reach out to me and say, hey, listen, I have something I think you might be interested in. Would you like a review copy? And I will tell them, listen, I'll be happy to take a review copy. One, I don't know when I'll get to it. And two, you better be confident in your work because I'm going to give an honest review. But
Wow.
I'm just saying that now it may have changed over the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years.
They're
I doubt
stealing
it.
is what they're doing
I doubt
because what
it.
they're trying to do is not piss off their base, their clientele base, their publisher base.
Yeah, but that just promotes more mediocrity. That's
Exactly.
Yeah,
And-
I mean, I got one of my first reviews I actually did on DriveThru was a horrible adventure that was such a railroad that there were actually DM controlled creatures to put the players back on their path, and if they stepped off the path, they would get like hit by these energy balls. I mean, it was that much of a railroad, and I declared it that in the review, and I got a reprimand.
Wow.
Oh, wah.
Edward Cobb says, in the hospitality industry, I learned you have to give it away to make money. Yes, because what you're doing is you're comping people, of course. But in when it comes to things like books and games, and I know that you may not mean this, Ed, but in books and games, in my opinion, I think the problem with giving away product in general is the fact that, number one, you really don't need to do it to get the results you're looking for. And number two, you're giving away something that you worked very hard on for a very long time, and margins are small anyways on books and games. So, I could see comping something. Go ahead, Tom.
It's like the casino. My
Yeah.
father, in his retirement, and after my mother passed, he'd go to the casino a lot. And 2 out of 3 times he'd win big, and so he'd win big and be headed home, and they would give him a free steak or lobster dinner.
They want you there. They don't want you leaving.
Because that would cause him to come back to get the dinner. He's not going to get the dinner that late at night. He's a diabetic. So what he would do is I'd be down in Boston driving, for Uber. And he's like, you coming up to Maine this weekend? I'm like, why? He goes, well, I got a free steak and lobster dinner for 2.
Nice.
And I'd be like, on my way. Screw this Uber thing. I'm going to Maine for a free meal. And, but it would bring him back, and then he'd spend more money while he was there. And, but he was really good at blackjack. So he kind of won more than he lost.
Oh, I love blackjack. That's my blackjack and Texas Hold'em poker.
Yeah, he gave me $500 once to play blackjack, and so I played a few hands, and I went, hit me, and the dealer said, "Are you sure?" And I went, "Yeah," and I, of course, went bust. And then I did it again, and she went, "Are you sure?" And I thought, I'll just pocket $400 and call it a day. It was $400 Dad gave me, and that'll be a win. And I'm done playing blackjack because clearly I don't know what I'm doing.
Now, real quick, I have a question for our audience, and this is just something for future. Everybody who's watching this video, we got a bunch of people watching now. Any content that you all want to see us talk about, like maybe next week? Is there any specific content, subjects, anything you want us to deep dive, get into, and or any other subjects that you all want to see us dive down the rabbit hole on? And while people are doing that real quick, one thing I haven't mentioned this even to my fellow gentlemen on the video cast here, but we've been getting emails.
Anonymous?
For anonymous and legitimate. So next week, what I'd like to do is I'd like to go ahead and showcase those emails. I'll black out the email address, but we'll put first name. And I want to start reading some emails because the anonymous ones are hilarious as hell, and the non-anonymous actually throw some pretty good stuff. Edward Kopp says, would you say piracy has more of a detrimental effect than positive? I've heard claims that in tabletop RPGs, the number of folks who buy a hard copy, I think I get the gist what you're going at, is not unsubstantial. Okay, go ahead. I have an opinion, but I'll let everyone go first. Go ahead.
Sure.
Go, Tom. You're chomping.
Look, if it's not in publication, I'm going to go looking for a PDF on the internet. I mean, if I can't go and buy it and get it legit, then I'm going to go, and because a lot of times I'm just curious. You know, I heard there was a feature to the James Bond RPG that was out in the 80s, if you remember that one. And so I just want to look at that, you know, more of like research type of purpose. And so I'll just go find it on, you know, databases and archives and download the PDF and take a look at it. I am not looking to play it. I'm just looking to consult. But if it's legitimately out there, then I'll just go ahead and buy it. I mean, especially if it's on drive-through, I've got publisher credits. I'll just drop the money. It won't even cost me a dime. I'll just
You're willing to go ahead and not pirate. What about you, Eric?
My experience is those that pirate everything buy nothing and wouldn't buy it in the first place. And there are those that pirate to sample, and the ones that pirate to sample generally wind up buying your product. Maybe not that one, maybe something else. Like, oh, wow, I really like that. Oh, look, they got something new out. I'll grab that. But anybody who has like a couple of tetrabytes of pirated material on their hard drive is doing it because they collect pirated material. They never buy. They were never going to. They were never going to be your customer. They were. It's not a lost sale, and that's
because it's never a sale to begin with.
Yeah,
right. And I think it's more likely that if you the person that's curious, like, you know, pirate curious, like Tom over here, is quite likely to go, wow, look at that, and there's new James Bond material coming out. Well, I guess I got to buy the new stuff. I think that there is an ability to convert people with, quote, pirated material. Well, listen, WotC is so terrified of pirated material, they put out nothing of themselves in PDF for 5e beyond anything that was free for D&D Next.
Yeah, but like
terrified.
I think what Everett's though also getting at a little bit is does it have, you know, when they talk about detrimental effects as a publisher with me is, you know, like, and I'm just going to bring them up because it was legitimate things. One of the things that Justin Lanasa really disliked and would never want to do is he didn't want to put out PDF versions of his games. And the logic being, and I've heard this logic echoed, is, well, because if I give Tom a PDF of my game, Tom's going to give it to Eric, and Eric's then going to give a copy to Steve, and I'm going to miss out on 3 sales. Well, as a publisher, I find that is actually not the norm. The norm is Tom will buy the PDF, and if Tom likes that game, then Tom will buy my physical copy.
Yeah.
Now, Tom may let Eric see a copy of the PDF, but that's going to make Eric probably want to buy a hard copy of the book.
And so, to give a real world example, you might be familiar with Baen Publishing, BAEN.
Yeah.
Sci-fi fantasy novels.
Yep.
They give stuff away for free. They got a free library. You can download for Kindle, for EPUB, you know, all the different formats. And it's the first 1 or 2 books in their most popular series. And you can read those right online. And what happens is I discovered them not through the free stuff online, but I went into a Barnes & Noble just to kill time before a sales call and get a coffee and just read something on the shelf and then leave it on the shelf.
Yeah.
When I went to my sales call.
It doesn't hurt you.
And there was a $1.99 special edition of On Basilisk Station from David Weber, his Honor Harrington series, which is madly popular. And I started reading it, and I'm like, "Jeez, for $1.99, this is leaving the store with me." And 3 days later, I'm in there buying everything he's written for the Honor Harrington series because I'm going to read the whole damn series.
Bingo.
And
That's exactly what it does.
And then I go into used bookstores and I see On Basilisk Station and I grab it,
Yeah.
and then I have a copy I can give away to people. Oh,
Yeah.
hey, you're going to like this.
Piracy is not a thing, I think, that the way people tend to think about it. Eric, I think you got to get going.
Oh my God,
9
yeah.
o'clock. Eric, thank you tonight, by the way.
You don't have to stop because of me, man.
Okay.
You can keep it going.
So, Eric, thank you tonight, by the way. I'll probably be in the speakeasy in a little
Folks,
God bless Eric.
all right, folks. Yeah, you know where to catch me. If I looked at Frazzled, this has been a week.
Crazy week.
I survived it. I survived it. That's what I'll say. I survived it. It hasn't ended until I don't know, tomorrow evening. But I'll survive it. So,
All right, man. Talk to you later. So basically, the thing is with piracy, Ed, is to answer your question, kind of long, short form, is, is there piracy in the industry? Absolutely, there is. It's out there. But really, does it have more of a detrimental and negative effect? You know what? You have to look at it as a publisher, as a creator, I think more of, do I absolutely have to give that PDF as part of my marketing plan? 5 years ago, no, you didn't. Today, you absolutely have to have a PDF version. That is almost on everybody's lips. Like Stars and Sales, we just did the backer kit. One of the first questions out of people's mouths was, is there going to be a PDF version? Because people use it at the thing. So absolutely, yes.
Well, yeah, they're going to use it on their smartphones because it's easier to have that than to carry the book.
Absolutely. St. Cuthbert says, let's talk about night before party at WizardCon 2025 and what time do we meet at the bar. Actually, we're not meeting at the bar. We are having a dinner at 10 o'clock. It's going to be for all volunteers, special guests, and other troublemakers that show up at the convention. We're going to have just a big specialized dinner. And St. Cuthbert, I thank you very much for picking up the tab that night. That was really
You walked into that one.
Yeah, we were there. Dave Thompson still got all my 80s games. Absolutely, man. Dave Thompson says all the companies sitting on out of print should get them on drive-through. You know what? I actually have to, let's see, all the companies sitting on out of print RPG should get them on drive-through. I actually am not a fan of, let me back up. Oh, I don't want to put this say this right. Drive-through RPG offers an awesome service to the average small publisher who has a few titles. Mm-hmm. But what these people do not realize is if they published more traditional, I'll put it that way, it would open up sales avenues and a whole new world for them. But you got to have somebody that's helping you that knows really what they're doing. And I think Drive-Thru RPG has their niche. They have their slot, and they do a good job at it. But
one of the problems with out-of-print stuff being put on Drive-Thru, what I've been noticing in eBay auctions, when I just go and say, let's see what's selling for Star Frontiers on eBay, is people have bought the reprint modules.
Yeah.
And I suspect they're selling the reprint modules and not telling you that that's what it is. And they're
on eBay. You got to be careful.
Shading the language of how they describe it to make. So if you don't stop and think or ask questions, you'll buy a reprint for $30 that only cost them, $4.31.
Yeah, or what's happening on eBay, like you said, they use clever language. But what they do is they're not targeting people like us. They're targeting the guy that's new to collecting, and he looks up, this module and go, holy crap, that thing's normally $100. They got it for, they got it for $88. I can save money. Well, it's a reprint. Fugly says loss leader. I don't think as a publisher, I don't consider a PDF as a loss leader. I think what it is more instead, it's a value added feature you're giving the player, because it's like when you look at EPUBs and PDFs, why do more and more publishers, along with the print version, offer a PDF and an EPUB? Well, a PDF is really good for things like laptops and on your tablet, where EPUBs look really good on telephones. So
Well-
like I can pull up on my iPhone an EPUB.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is back at the beginning, before ebooks took off, they were a marketing gimmick. They were just like, oh, somebody was like, well, I want your book on digital too. Can you do that? And they'd say, yeah, here, have this. As long as you bought the main book, we'll let you go ahead and have a free ebook for this. And and that's kind of how that all took off.
Yeah, and I just think that, that's another thing what you have to look at is you have to take a look at it in a more broad sense of is, okay, let's just say this. Let's say, and I'll use Stars and Sales because that's what we're going to put out. Let's say Tom buys Stars and Sales. He backs the backer kit. And let's say Tom does take that PDF and he starts giving it away to everybody and everybody. It's a proven fact. Most people, if they like it, they're going to want also the physical, not just the digital.
Yeah.
It's like me. I like digital because I'm getting more and more into using my laptop and my tablet. But I tell you what, I love a shelf with books. I'm just that tangible,
I want the book at the table. I don't want to be
Amen.
fiddling with my phone or a tablet or a computer. I want the book of rules at the table. Open it up, lay it open, and
Yes.
That's.
Yep.
But small resource PDFs like 100 sci-fi names or 100 pickpocket, results. That could be a PDF that because I'm gonna consult that during my prep time on my computer. That's fine.
That's true value added though, because what you're doing as a publisher, and I'm gonna confess here. At Wizard Tower Games, Wizard Tower Publishing, what we're going to start doing when the new websites come out here, we're going to have a free download section. And it's going to be little things like that. Like we're going to have like a 1E player character record sheet. It's free. We're going to have like, a little mini booklet of tables of missing. So yes, because what you're doing is also like the steak dinner at the casino. What we want is when you come to the website, i.e. the casino, we don't want you leaving empty-handed. So we're willing to give you a little something for free because maybe you'll stick around and look around and say, oh, that's only $4.99. I could use that, and you spend a little bit of money.
Yeah, and I can tell you that with the publishing, the fan magazine, because it's a fan magazine, it's under the fan license, I can't make money on it. And I've put the tip cup there, the pay what you want.
Yeah.
You like what we're doing, throw a people throw $1, they throw $3. I've seen people throw $5, one particular fan who's really been big on supporting, multiple Patreons and the multiple magazines. I've seen them throw $9-10. And I'm like, hey, I appreciate that. You don't have to throw that much, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's people appreciate what you're doing. They will throw some money, even
Absolutely.
on pay what you want. And I've done this where I've just I wasn't too sure about a Traveler product, so I went ahead with the pay what you want, paid $0, read it, and then I went back and paid for it again and actually paid money because I was like, that was really good. This guy deserves some money for this.
Yep. Mr. Gunn says, boom, it's Mr. Gunn in Late Night Drive. Hi to him, Mr. Gunn. St. Cuthbert. Okay. He makes, to me, the essence point of tonight. And he says, books, turning pages, rolling real dice, I'm in. To me, that's the reason why, I'm not resisting it, but if you gave me a choice of playing digitally with Eric, Tom, and Steve online, even with all the bells, whistles, and toys, or sitting down at the table, give me that damn table anytime. I'd much rather be at that table, the clink of the dice on the table, that sound right there, having a good time laughing, you can't beat it. And the funny thing is, that's why we did WizardCon, because I really wanted to get back into post-COVID. Let's all do some gaming together. But that's why we're also trying to do digital. I think Eric said, as a matter of fact, what was it? Last week was his last week, wasn't he? Then he's done with that game night.
I think so, yes.
So we all can get into some gaming now. Edward Kopp makes a point. He says, I'll give you a free PDF for signing up to my weekly newsletter. Exactly. Those are the things. Lost Leader, yeah, you're giving away something, but you're getting something more valuable in return if it's more valuable to you. And me giving you a PDF for you subscribing to a newsletter, that's a good deal as far as the owner of the newsletter, because every week now or every month, you're going to get something out of me just for what? A PDF. Mr. Gunn says, what I want is a calendar with turquoise bikini pics of Bad Mike in a turquoise wig. Oh, God, give me an adjustment.
I will pass.
Yeah, because you know what's really, Mr. Gunn, I'm sorry, I got to say something here. I think, and I'm not trying to be mean here, but there's a point where you go too flipping far on this channel. And I'm sorry, Mr. Gunn, but enough is enough. It's burgundy, not turquoise.
Mr. Gunn likes to stir the poop.
Yep.
Turquoise. Tacky.
Garden gnomes are tacky.
Hey, my wife likes gnomes. Don't be getting her mad at me. Talk about garden gnomes now. Gnomes.
So let's get back to slabbing. We've kind of rabbit trailed here. I don't know this term. What is slabbing?
Actually, slabbing is a couple different terms that engage slabbing. People have, you got the pros and cons of people who want to, it's called encapsulation also. And so basically what a lot of people have a problem with is, like, they'll take a module and they'll say, why are you fine, have it graded, but why are you slabbing it? Why are you having it encased in plastic? It does no good. You're just going to sit there and you're just going to throw it on a shelf. Well, slabbing is a good and bad thing depending on your point of view. Are you collecting it truly? Or if you're not collecting it, are you, what's the whole purpose behind it? And again, it just depends on what you're doing with the game. Me personally, the only way I would slab something and have it graded is if it had true value. Like really something I wanted to protect and not have to, I was paranoid about or whatnot. But slabbing is, especially in games, is such a controversial subject. Horrible.
I don't get why.
It's because why do you have the module? Well, because I want to play it. Well, you can't play it if it's slabbed. You can't play the game if it's sealed up in plastic.
You're collecting it then. You're not playing it per se. I was on a mission in the about the time that the Steve Jackson movies were coming out, The Lord of the Rings, to go back and
Peter Jackson.
Collect all of the Iron Crown Enterprises MERP modules and books that I could. And I have a pretty good collection. I have a more extensive PDF collection of them because when you finally win that auction for shrink wrapped Lake Town, you're not cutting the shrink wrap.
Yeah.
And I want to enjoy the damn module, so I had to get the PDF. So I had to go out and find a database where I could download the PDF for Lake Town. Now, I legitimately own, I paid $90 for it on eBay. I couldn't believe I got it for $90, but I did. Shrink wrapped, it's pristine. I love it. It's part of the collection.
Fugly, yes, there is, by the way, real quick. But I agree with you, Tom. I think that's just it. I mean, if you have something that's shrink wrapped in mint, I'm not breaking that shrink wrap. That's heresy to me. I'd rather, but, I don't know.
One time, I think I walked into a store and I saw Top Secret shrink wrap box set, and I always wanted to have. It was my birthday. I always wanted to have Top Secret, so I went ahead and bought it, and I cut the shrink wrap because I wanted to look at the game. I wanted to smell the paper. I just wanted to go through it because I had kind of rolled up some characters for Top Secret, but I never got to play back in the 80s.
Yep.
And so that was one where I just said,
hell with it. Caution to the wind, man.
I want to play with this thing.
Yep. Edward Kopp says unused, inaccessible books are useless to me. I'm not that kind of collector. You know, I agree with you. I mean, I only have one slabbed game, only one. And it's a module. And the only reason why it's slabbed is because I bought it that way off of eBay. It was a good grade. It's a 9.5 mint. And and it's Gauntlet. It's the module Gauntlet. And it really it's not any super valuable. It's just one of those things where, wow, I like the module to begin with. I already have a crappy copy of it that I can play with if I want. 9.5, I'm going to go ahead and just have it for the sake of having it. Jerry Tell, how you doing, my friend? Thanks for coming on the show. Mr. Gunn says that he is more of a completionist than a collector. I can be that way too. Like, to me, like AD&D books. I actually reached out to Ed Lazor, the owner of Drive Through RPG, or not, through RPG Marketplace, excuse me. And what I'm doing is I wanted to put together an entire collection of orange spines because I want to do it for the auction for the kids hospital. And he's helping me get the orange spines together. So, that's me. I needed to get a complete set. So in certain ways, I'm a completionist. And I think with me, how are you guys? With me, I think I would consider myself more of a completionist too, because sometimes condition doesn't matter. I just want to make sure I have all of what I need.
I'm only I was a completionist when it came to MERP, but eventually I just kind of I lost interest. But Star Frontiers, I was a completionist with that and went out and got to find everything and got to get everything.
Are you a completionist in anything game wise or not, or anything in particular?
No, the closest I ever got was CNC Red Alert.
Oh, you used to play the heck out of that game. I remember you talk about that.
Oh yeah, used to play that to death.
Now I will say one thing. There's one game system that you don't want to become a collector of and or a completionist of because you'll never be able to do it, and that's GURPS. Holy cow, GURPS. How many stacks piled 4 foot high of different manuals do you need? The manual of Roman toe fungus. Oh, okay. Everything.
Yeah. Yeah. But on the other side of that, if you're like I was looking to write a spec ops module for Star Frontiers, adventure, and somebody said, "Oh, well, you should get spec ops GURPS," and I did, and so I went out and bought it, and I was like, it wasn't that useful.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, you can use the GURPS splat books for research.
Yeah. GURPS is actually really good. I mean, GURPS is like one of those, for me, I used to love GURPS, but I actually have some GURPS books. But for me, they're more just, I want them as resource material. They give me ideas. Mr. Gunn says, Tom, oh man, MERP, Star Frontiers, now you're talking. And Edward Kopp says, I was a completionist before the divorce and moving into a Brooklyn apartment. Mike Burke says, then there's just us lost souls who are 2E completionists or aspire to be. It's a life quest. Mike, I agree with you. Sometimes, it's like me. I want AD&D or BECME related materials. I'm not really a second edition collector or a 3.5 or a 5E. But when it comes to basic BECME or when it comes to AD&D, I am a completionist. Because... And what's everybody's opinion here? What's the difference between a completionist and a collector? To me, a completionist will play with what they have. A collector usually will put it up and not want to play with it. What's your guys' opinion?
Oh yeah, collector is a dusty shelf kind of guy. The completionist is I got to have all of this so I can have the fun.
All right, Tom, I think you got to get a young one to bed, my friend.
Yeah, I got to make another attempt to putting her in bed.
Well, I'll tell you what. Give it 30 seconds, Tom, real quick. We'll end this. It's going on 9:30. It's been a night. Everybody, thanks for tuning in tonight's video. Had a lot of good chats tonight. We'll be back next week. We'll start getting into the emails. And you can go ahead and email us at thevlogofmanythings@gmail.com if you have an idea of a show or if you want something on next week that you want us to kind of do a little bit more research in. And I'll share with you guys some of the emails we got because they are some requests.
Oh,
for
awesome.
show ideas.
Yeah, we should
So-
just have a little mailbag. What's on the mailbag this week?
Good idea. Good deal. So everybody, thanks for tuning in tonight. Thanks for all the comments and such. Thanks for everybody. Please hit a like and subscribe on the below channels if you could, or whatever channel you're looking at. And this is Don with the Blog of Many Things saying goodnight.
This is
Tom?
Steve.
All right, and we will talk to you guys later. Tom, put that young in the bed.
Yeah, good night.
All right.